Hey everyone, welcome to the Memento Futurum podcast. This is Vanessa, your host, and today we're chatting with Nicole Casanova. And before I get into all of the amazing things about Nicole, I have to put this here. She's a long-term best friend for like a decade. So it's really, really a special moment to be having her today. Nicole is of Taino descent and a student of Maestro Manuel Rufino, a Taino Elder who founded the Golden Drum Educational Center in Brooklyn and communities all over the world. She's a servant to the earth, the Great Spirit, and humanity. Nicole is a multidisciplinary artist, sacred activist, and ecologist. She's a writer, a poet, song carrier, and storyteller. A 200 RYT Yoga Alliance certified yoga and meditation teacher, a mindfulness meditation teacher and practitioner, a corporate wellness consultant, a certified Reiki Master in the Usui and Karuna Reiki Riojo, and a Shamanic Practitioner. She's a human movement teacher, magical awakening practitioner, member of Dream Seed Shamanic Music Ensemble, core organizer and producer of the Heart and Mind Festival, creator of Words as Prayer Oracle Deck, and author of Forces of Nature. In 2020, Nicole founded Root to Heaven, a 501c3 organization that has planted almost 100 million trees and plants across 2 continents and many nations. Root to Heaven is Nicole's prayer for the sacred waters of the earth, and all of her public and private healing work supports her mission to help rehabilitate ecosystems all over the world. Major welcome, and thank you for sharing everything with us so far.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for our friendship. As I mentioned, a decade of friendship is in my world of the highest value. And Nicole has also been my teacher, my Reiki Master teacher, and teacher in many ways. And so it's a real honor and that you've shared your gifts with me all of these years.
Mm.
Wow, I'm so excited for this.
It's amazing how just like real friendship is a real teacher. And I similarly feel the same way that I've just learned so much from you, Vanessa, through the spirit of like a really committed and truthful and devoted friendship. So thank you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first question I wanted to ask you, that's kind of been my burning question because I don't know this yet about you, is I wanted to ask you about your origin story and the inspiration for your work and really like what's brought you to this moment and why you share what you do in the world.
Mhm. So when you say origin story, I want to know like how far back are we talking?
I felt this. I felt this. Wherever you want to take this. I mean, we could say childhood, you could say former lives.
Yeah, I think I come from the stars like we all do,
Hmm.
and um, I just have really clear memories of that. And I had really clear memories of that as a child and in my dreams and childhood and teenage years, and just a really strong connection to nature and to my ancestors who would appear to me in dreams and a lot of like clairvoyance and sentience and audience, especially in childhood. And I would often kind of see these people that were my relatives. And so it's hard to say what is my origin, because I feel very much braided into an unbroken um, path
Mm-hmm.
across lifetimes and places and spaces and planes.
Hmm.
So it's really hard to say, but in this lifetime, I come from Borinquen, Taino people, and I have ancestors that are of that nature, and ancestors that are coming also from the European nations, from Spain, from Italy, and also ancestors that are of African descent through the Caribbean. So I don't know which origin to tell you about more, but what started me on my path was just listening to my heart and following my intuition and following what makes me feel really truthful and aligned with who I am and with the truth that I feel and witness and experience as I live and breathe. Um, I don't know how not to be on this path, whether it's an origin or destination. I can't imagine ever being anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And as you were speaking, like the thing that I was really keying into and feeling is when you said the word braided, um, and how like all of those different streams and threads can come together. Um, yeah, and I'm curious too, like maybe what brought you to this kind of service, or maybe what brought this out of you, unless you were always doing this kind of work like through your childhood. You know, I guess when did you begin offering maybe publicly or with others? Was there a period that, you know, like where you felt that, you know, delineation maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I grew up in a very prayerful family and tradition. My parents are Catholic and Christian, and they taught me how to pray from a very young age. And even though it never like fully resonated with me, as my tradition, I respected it. And I feel like I learned a lot from that quality of devotion and focus and clarity and faith. That's obviously translated into my life now. But from a very young age, I was doing hands-on healing and, really praying over people because that was part of the tradition that I came from, and
Mm.
that's part of the work that my parents were doing. And so it was very natural for me to go into that. I was a teenager just like the rest of us were. And, I tried to pretend not to see,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just wanted to come away from that. But even then, I spent a lot of time by myself in nature, not just like staring at a wall, but like in nature, on rivers, on streams, on creeks and lakes, at the ocean, and the swamp areas of Florida, because that's where I grew up. And I gained a lot from that, not like gain in the traditional way that we think of gain, but
Mm-hmm.
I gained a lot of my own inner peace and stillness and connection to the earth and the great spirit and, just a sense of belonging to a larger whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, to answer your other question, I believe that I publicly started offering my work in New York City probably around 2012, 2011.
Wow.
Um, I was engaged in a yoga teacher training, and at that point, I was practicing a lot of hatha yoga, and I was practicing a lot of pranayama and kriya with a guru and a school, and I was practicing, asana yoga twice a day and pranayama and kriya yoga several times a week with the guru and then several times a week on my own. And so there was a lot moving for me and a lot of energy that was happening. And, it was definitely a very, very big awakening moment. That was like the point in time where I could no longer silence that like wise child that came onto this planet,
Mm-hmm.
feet firmly grounded, guided by the ancestors, knowing where I came from, connected to the stars, connected to the earth, connected to my heart. And that's the time where like that person came back online in a very big way,
Mm-hmm.
thankfully. And it's very disruptive to my life and a lot of my friendships and relationships at the time. But these things happen. And I'm grateful for all of it. And at that time, when I was experiencing this huge remembrance, is when I had a very strong kind of, people were just saying they had a very strong, I was having a strong effect on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just, you know, like put my hand on someone and they'd be like, whoa, like I feel so much better, or I just feel so calm, or like, oh, I haven't been able to rest and I feel super relaxed now, or I've been really exhausted and now I feel like I have energy. And I got really scared, you
Hmm.
know. I think that those powers that we all gain through our discipline and practice are very special, but they are definitely something that we need to be really mindful about and responsible over. And there were a few times where different people had asked me if I'd just given them Reiki by touching them. And I said, no, I don't even know what that is. I haven't heard of it. And then I made a kind of like mental note to
Mm-hmm.
look into it. And then I made a prayer to the universe and said, you know, if this is what you'd like for me to learn next so that I can be more of service in this way, then, you know, I'm very much open to doing that. And within a week of that prayer, a Reiki master who I studied with for several years, modalities outside of Reiki as well, appeared to be doing a workshop at my yoga studio where I was training, in the school that I was training in and practicing in. And I went to his workshop and I just knew that that was my teacher, that I wanted to learn Reiki with. And I'm very grateful that I did. It's a very, very special Reiki master. Um, and yeah, and then I just started pretty much immediately, just like offering sessions to my friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like in a very um, intuitive way. I also would use like a singing bowl and a gong and some incense. And I didn't have real training in that, you know, it's just something that I knew that I needed to integrate into those Reiki sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the first people that I work with are still very, very close, dear friends that you and I have traveled the world with and done retreats with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just been a really long journey going deeper and deeper um, into remembering and closer to myself and who I am.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing all of it. And something that I don't know if I've mentioned to you out loud about this podcast is that you were the original inspiration for it. You were like, I think you should start a podcast. And so when you said the word remembering, I was like, oh, yes, I am remembering. Um,
Mhm.
you know, memento futurum, remember the future. It's like, oh, there's the central nugget. And so all of that was really moving and alchemizing. That's like Saturn return, yeah? Those years for you?
Yeah, definitely. Hmm.
Wow, incredible. And I'm just thinking about your yoga journey and just like the level of devotion and discipline that's, you know, that required of you. And what would you say like that was when you say like I was touching people and I was having an effect on them, like they were noticing? Like, I mean, I'm double Aquarius, so sometimes my brain goes a little scientific with it. I'm curious, like, do you have an idea, or if maybe it was just like I knew I was doing the practices and I was amplified, or how would you say that was working?
I mean, the yogic sciences are, you know, really intended if the practices are used in a good way. And I think this is also why I mentioned already several times that I was learning with a guru, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I was under the kind of protection of a lineage. Um, and in that sense, like I had somebody that was monitoring things for me
Mm-hmm.
and monitoring many students and practitioners and teachers. And so, you know, the science behind that is that you are really aligning your nadis, your chakras, your meridians. And I know we all talk about like the
Mm-hmm.
chakra balancing and chakra alignment and, you know, all of that. And a lot of that is very real. And I think it's very, very important as the Kundalini energy starts to rise, or as Shakti rises to Shiva,
Mm-hmm.
and our nadis and meridians get activated, that we have someone who is deeply, deeply trained and who has a lot of discernment to help guide that journey. Because if the energy moves through the wrong nadi, it can create all kinds of imbalances in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it manifests as different things. But luckily, I did find a teacher that I did trust, and a group of teachers that I deeply learned from, all of them. Like each one of them taught me something different that I'm so grateful for to this day. And, every day when I practice yoga, hatha yoga, I'm just like remembering these things that my teachers would say and
Mm-hmm.
hearing them so differently now than I did then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and back to the sciences, when we're really working on with a yogic system and in a really sacred container and a really scientific container, because the school that I learned in is the integrated science of Hatha, Tantra, and Ayurveda. It's Ishta Yoga
Mm-hmm.
with Ellen Finger and Sarah Plattfinger. Um, you are beginning to and unlocking a lot of electromagnetism in
Mm.
your own system, in your own auric field. And, you know, that has an effect. There's the cause and the effect, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all different, like we really come into this life with different qualities and different aspects. But from a very young age, I recognized myself as somebody who possessed the gift of healing and the gift of speech and prayer
Wow.
and
Mm-hmm.
song and art in general. I was always creating. So, it was really about reclaiming that and then cleaning it, like cleaning off the filters. But back to the sciences once again,
Mm-hmm.
in the tradition, there are things called the cities,
Mm-hmm.
and they are just a natural part of the practice. And there's nothing special about them, like
Mm-hmm.
the good thing is when you start to realize that these cities are coming online with you, which we all have.
Mm-hmm.
We all have access to the cities, this kind of, instant manifestation. And these, they call them magical qualities. We all have that as human beings when we cultivate that.
Mm.
And things begin to happen around us and within us. And I think even more, that's when you want a really, really attuned teacher to
Yeah.
help guide that even more and guide it towards love. Because who is it, Charlie Chaplin, that said, um, wait a minute, I'm going to have to find this quotation because it's just so good. And I think there's actually two of them um, that reference each other, but referring back to love.
You have so
Yeah,
many thoughts.
because on the outside of those um, those cities, you can appear really powerful to people, right? And I think that's why it's really good to have grounded, humble people around you, kind of like guiding you.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie Chaplin said, "You need power only when you want to do something harmful.
Mm.
Otherwise, love is enough to get everything done."
Mm. Wow.
And that's just like deeply, deeply resonates in my soul. And so I really experienced that as truth. And I just kind of wanted to go deeper into that. And to be honest, there were things that were happening that were scaring me.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of cities, and I had to pray for a teacher that could really help me. And that teacher also came
Mm-hmm.
um, and really drove me and continues to drive me and guide me more than driving, because it's the guide and the friendship that is always reminding me to come from love and to question what the purpose of things is. And for me, if the purpose isn't love and the intention isn't love, like the first intention, the purpose of doing something
Mm-hmm.
and the ultimate destiny isn't love, then it's really not for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's, all of that you've shared, I think that's like what really magnetized me to you originally, like at least on this plane, in this lifetime. Um, but as you were talking about like the teacher and like someone who can, as you say, drive the spaceship, I know you've used that term before. Um, but I was going through like the deep light language awakening and like what's going on, and my energy body was all over the place, and I just felt like a space cadet. And Nicole was the person who was like, okay, take a breath, sit down. Because I felt really crazy. And you were just able to help organize things for me in a way that, through your language, through your speech, just like energy work, where I was like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm not crazy. Like, it's just, this is a new part of me. So grateful for that time. And that was like more than a decade ago. I said a decade. It's like been 11 years, but what's time? Anyway,
What time isn't it?
what exactly? Um, yeah, just feeling into that, and then training with you with Reiki, I think was really, I mean, just, that's really, it was a really profound part of my life. Um, and then like on the energy medicine thread, I'm just like feeling like the Love Letters to Earth deck. So, and that was your first deck, that emerged. Gosh, I don't even know. That was a long time ago. It feels like just yesterday, but
Yeah, I mean, I was drawing those mandalas when we first met, and I
you were.
remember the first conversation that we had. I remember where I was sitting in my room, in my apartment, in the living room in Brooklyn.
Hmm.
Um, I love that apartment, by the way. It was just like the most amazing garden. But um, I remember listening to your voice for the first time and like understanding that a lot of what you were explaining to me was things that I myself had to guide myself through,
Hmm.
a couple of years prior to that. Um, and that, we're just here, like we're walking shoulder to shoulder and
Yeah.
we're all around the sacred circle and we're all praying together. And
Hmm.
there are moments where some of us know a little bit more, or we have a little bit more experience with certain things
Hmm.
than others, and we take turns. And I always really felt that with you, and I really just have experienced and witnessed that. And I think that, the light language was very normal for me because it was happening to me. I would just close my eyes. And this is part of what I was referring to earlier. There was just, a lot happening for me on the subtle energy levels. And
Hmm.
I was seeing all kinds of symbols and scripts and all of this sacred art and having really wild dreams. Um, and I just started drawing everything, which is the same thing that you did,
Hmm.
and the same thing that like many thousands and thousands of people have been doing, or hundreds of thousands of people have been doing since the beginning of time. And also since, that time, the emergence of sacred geometries and light languages and sigils and runes, like the reemergence in our culture and our psyche is really strong. And people are doing it everywhere now. And I think that um, with regard to that, it was just about like, what is the purpose,
Hmm.
because it has to have that clarity. And I
Yes.
loved to be able to explore those worlds and to still explore those worlds with you. I think it's very natural and amazing, Vanessa, and part of the gift that we have to share.
Hmm. Yeah. And like I brought up Love Letters to Earth because so you said you were drawing those mandalas at that time, and just the calibration of all of the mandalas, and they're Reiki attuned, correct? And yeah, it's I mean, incredible. I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, okay, I really understand this on a deep heart level, but what am I looking at? It was mind and heart blowing, like just open, like pure love, really. And Love Letters to Earth has evolved
Mhm.
and transformed. I feel like bringing in this next deck is like a Phoenix Rising energy to me. But I just want to, so what is your next deck?
Well, Love Letters to Earth was happening, and I remember at one moment, just to kind of reference back to that, I was like, what is this? I was praying and I was really asking. One of my teachers always says that meditation is listening to God and prayer is talking with God. And this moment, I'm like, what are these things? And like, why do they wake me up in the middle of the night? And like, I had to draw them or write them
Mm-hmm.
down. And and they were like, they're love letters to Earth.
Wow.
hmm And then, a few months later, they're like, keep drawing them. And then, half a year after that was like, you're going to make an oracle deck.
Wow.
Okay. And the instructions were really clear in that sense, but Love Letters to Earth was like this kind of
Mm-hmm.
opening the door into this work. And I love the deck and I love the project. I love the prayer. And that's where like it got deeper for me. And the second deck, Words as Prayer, is really focusing on those prayers. And I'm a writer and I have been like consummate writer since I was a kid. And I
Wow.
probably wrote like 14 books by the time I graduated high school. I was like, always writing poetry and
Wow.
always making up stories. And so I needed to use that medicine. And my elder always says that if you have medicine and you don't use it, if you don't give it, it turns into poison. And like I kind of felt that about the project, about Love Letters to Earth. And I was like, I don't love this project, like
Mm.
there's something about it that doesn't feel in integrity with me fully.
Mm-hmm.
As the years went by, like when it first came out, I was super stoked and really happy to get the work out there and to have people have access to these cards and have access to Reiki and the Reiki of each card, which is a word, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's love or forgiveness or attunement or peace or prayer, whatever that it is. I was so happy that people had that. But as the years went by, what started to really emerge in me was that I didn't honor the words.
Mm.
Each card has a word, but I didn't honor those words. And the guidebook was the most succinct
Mm.
kind of excerpt and like download and transmission of every single word that I could um, provide within a very small booklet. And these projects they're costly.
Yeah.
And you're just putting it all together because you have to, because
Mm-hmm.
the boss upstairs and the other boss downstairs, they're like, put your work out there. We
Mm-hmm.
gave you all these ideas, now go share them. And the one within, most importantly. Um, so this version is a very profound and integral manifestation of the art and the mandala, as well as the words. And I have had the great blessing to be able to live closely with a very amazing teacher for many years, and to learn from very closely other, amazing elders and tribal leaders and traditional knowledge keepers and medicine people. And I go into that knowledge and those transmissions that I received over many years, as well as my own kind of etymological exploration of the meaning of a word inside of each card, and go into the prayer for each word and the visualization, using those powers of the mind and using the power of the imagination, which my teacher always says, imagination is the power of creation.
Mm.
So really bringing forth an entire instrument, right? Or like orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I feel like it was like just a couple instruments, and now there's more pieces for the maestro, the person who's using the deck to really make music and make beauty and make art for the world.
That's so profound. I can't wait to have it in my hands.
I
Just
can't wait to have it in my hand.
I know.
7 weeks. Currently printing.
Yes, pre-order yours now. Um, but no, for real. I mean, I've seen your work and I've seen some of the behind the scenes of the process and over the years and some of Words is Prayer. And I mean, it's just really incredible to see you um, doing what I call in my world 12th house stuff because I have a very loaded cap 12th house, but like just really bringing things from the ethers down into this world and taking your visions and taking the subtle energies, the things that we can't see, and just, bringing them into form. And that's the work of the magician or the work of the high priestess, like all the different, archetypes that I could name with that. But it's just incredible to watch you do it and then to get to be a part of it. There's so much that I would say everything that you share includes other people. And I think that's what's so beautiful about everything that you're sharing and that I've gotten to be a part of retreats, or whether it's, witnessing a song or witnessing your deck. It's just like, wow, like how you really weave the tapestry of love with your creation and your ability to just bring it all together. And you also have another project.
I do. I have another project. Thank you for saying that, by the way. I really received that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah, I have another project I'm working on that's gonna make its debut in the fall. I'm really focused on Words as Prayer right now and making sure that that medicine gets out into the world. And so I'm going to be doing that for a few months, but I am fully bringing in a book, or I should say a volume of poems that are prayers that I've received over many years with studying with the elders and the traditions and going deep into my heart and deep into silence and deep into the kind of radiation and essence of the medicine. And by medicine, I mean like that thing that heals us, which is love.
Mm-hmm.
And the elders say that, love is the most integral part of any medicine. And without it, we don't get well. And that's why we have so many sick people that are taking medicine for many, many years without healing because the love isn't there. So going deep into the essence and the radiation of love and listening and just allowing my hand to move from that space. So this book is called Forces of Nature, and it's poems for remembering what we all are and where we all come from and where we're all going.
Mm-hmm.
Because memory is elastic and it moves forward and backward when we're really paying attention. And I think, to some degree, Vanessa, this just, I don't mean to be tangential, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's how we roll.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this future remembering is something that I feel very grateful and aware that you and I have done together,
Mm-hmm.
even recently.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both seeing some same future, and
Mm-hmm.
we both are seeing it and we're feeling it and we're guided toward it. But I think that, now versus 10 years ago, we're like, let's make sure we put that future together really well
Mm-hmm.
so that when we get there, it's been constructed properly.
Mm-hmm.
And we have like a good foundation for the house we're going to live in. Um, and I very much appreciate that. Um, And that's the kind of remembering I really pray can be felt when people read these poems
Mm-hmm.
and when they let the prayers wash over them. It's the memory of our eternal essence,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I feel is what I've been gifted through many years of devotion and many years of blessing by my teacher and my parents, who are also priests, and by my friends, who are all amazing, and my family and nature.
Mm-hmm. You said something similar in my dream last night. Not to be tangential, but it is how we roll. And um, yes, remembering the future, this, Memento Futurum really came in strongly in last fall, because of what you shared, like the process of there's something about this timing, whatever this now moment is. I don't really have great words for it, but just like I think it's having the wisdom, having the level of awareness of responsibility to put the pieces together. And, you can see things for the future, but not have the tools or not have the support or the things that you'll need to get there. And it just takes some time to kind of start to bring that in and bring those pieces together. So you hold those things and you wait. But I think there's things that we've been seeing for a long time. And um, yeah, I mean, I'm inspired to ask you, um, for people listening, I guess what would you say is a first step for like really listening to your intuition or cultivating this type of seeing,
Mm.
or maybe something that you've learned around vision?
Mm. There's two things that are like competing to come through.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
because we can't see through a dirty lens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like the throne of the intuition is the heart. So if that is clouded by a lot of resentment and anger and greed and judgment and shame and guilt and all of those things, then it's really, really hard to see things clearly. Once
Yeah.
you clean that up, which is an ongoing process, I'm weeding my garden every single day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, then usually your first intuition is the right one.
Incredible. Mm-hmm. You said the heart is the throne of the intuition.
From my experience and understanding, that connection to our heart, like, and that connection between the heart and the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and like the harmony and coherence between the heart and the mind is like, once that thing is online and it's well put together and like protected and cleaned regularly and blessed regularly,
Mm-hmm.
start to really experience things a little bit differently.
Wow. Absolutely. I feel like that's resonant for me. Um, so eloquently put. And um, would you be open to sharing a card at this time, or a poem, or a song,
Yeah,
or
I'll pick a card for us.
yeah, please.
Mm. Thank you for inviting that.
Absolutely.
And card is healing.
Healing.
Mm-hmm. I always feel like Cancer season is a really good time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
But let me read it to you.
This is from Words as Prayer.
This is from Words as Prayer. Like I said, it will be arriving in 7 weeks and pre-order is open. I'm very, very happy and excited about this project because I worked very closely with one of our friends and sisters, Cassie, to bring forth like the real vision that I received actually when I was praying at a full moon in Murai, which is where they used to keep the seeds in the Sacred Valley,
Wow.
and make the offerings to Pachamama. And I was praying there at high noon, and I saw the entire colorways of the deck come in this kind of desert rainbow, rainbow earth tone, like more desert vibe. So I was able to kind of tell her, like, I see this and I see this, and it's all watercolor. And she just got it. And I was like, thank you so much, because it's hard to explain the things that go on in my mind sometimes. All right. So I'm going to read the card, or the booklet for healing for Words as Prayer. So I'll invite everyone to find a comfortable seat. Healing. Becoming sound, moving on, clarification. To heal is to make whole, sound, and well. Nothing that has ever happened can actually fracture our true self. So the only real cure is understanding that comes through stillness. This does not mean that things do not hurt, because they do, and they will. But healing and living in a healed way is our simple commitment to understanding rather than staying in woundedness. To understand something, we have to humble ourselves to whatever happened or is happening, however painful or unpleasant, so that we can receive the gift of moving on in peace. In moving on, we allow ourselves to resonate to and with different sounds, words, and thoughts than the ones of that experience. Our lives become a different song. Staying hurt means we're not letting things flow because we somehow perceive ourselves as lesser than before the experience. But the truth is, a sincere heart will always gain clarity and become more pure. Moving on, we move as a whole person with more awareness and wisdom than before the experience we had or are having. Reaffirming this allows us to use words of power and prayer to reframe the way we think or speak about what hurt us in a healed, responsible, and empowered way. This creates the safety we need to let the energy around our experiences flow once again and clarify our emotional waters. Cultivating this grace empowers us to become a healing presence in our own lives and in the lives of others. Ritual. Close your eyes and imagine yourself in a magnificent cave full of pools with luminous singing water. Gazing into the pools, you notice different stars and constellations illuminating the waters. Use your intuition to find the pool whose water and star song will bring you back into resonance with the song of your own soul at peace, your very essence. Create an intention to open your whole being up to receive these divine resonances so you can release yourself from suffering. Take a moment to check in with yourself and acknowledge anywhere in your mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical world where you are harboring hurt feelings, negativity, or dissonance. You may find that a few different issues surface, crying out for healing. As you zero in on the issues at hand, let your intuition guide you to the light, song, and waters that will heal you. As you approach the pool, send your thanks to the spirit of the water for the healing you are about to receive. With your focus on the area that needs healing, cup your hands and fill them with sacred water. Visualize that as you drink this water, it will travel to the precise location in your being where this healing is needed. Remember, you are more than just a physical being, and this blessed water can penetrate the layers of your bodies, emotional, spiritual, karmic, psychological, soul, energetic. As you receive this refreshment, allow it to sing to you and through you, rejuvenating and illuminating pathways of understanding, peace, and stillness. Stay in vibration with this song. Visualize it moving into your life through new ways of dealing with old things. When you're ready, open your eyes and give thanks to the miraculous waters of healing. Finish this ritual by drinking an entire glass of water. Prayer. I give thanks to the waters of life. Thank you to the waters of healing, the waters of purification, the waters of peace, strength, and flexibility. Thank you to the transparent, humble waters, to the waters of intuition and ancestral wisdom, to the pure waters of love, to the sweet waters of life. May all the waters of the world, within and without, be blessed, free, gentle, and protected.
Oh.
Yoho. So it's a funny, kind of amazing thing about this deck is that, words as prayer in this iteration was translated in art to what it is now by Cassie. And it was edited by another one of our really close friends and dear, dear, dear sisters and wise women, Taylor. And Cassie and Taylor and I all have our ascendants conjunct one another.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, for me, it was just kind of this really beautiful meditation come into being. And I remember asking my teacher, what does it mean when your ascendant is conjunct someone else's, like exact? He's like, it means you're walking in the same direction and towards
Wow.
the same thing. So these are people that you can really work with. So I just
Beautiful.
want to acknowledge them both. Um, Without their hearts, I just don't think this project could have come into being. And it's not just, like what you said earlier about including others in the offering. So it's like working together and being inclusive in the prayer. And for me, that's where that eternal braid
Mm.
remains unbroken
Mm-hmm.
because it does include like the heart and the spirit and the energy of other people towards good things. So
Mm-hmm.
very, very grateful for them.
Wow. Thank you for sharing the healing card and the ritual. I follow the directions and I feel different. I have my water here. Um, it's really special to have received that card and the water ritual during the Cancer season. Speaking with our Cancer friend here. And yeah, do you want to share any Cancer wisdom?
Mm. I was thinking about what is the wisdom of the Cancer as a very, very Cancerian person. And I actually have a song that I want to share
Mm-hmm.
because I think that it speaks to that really well. And this song I received 3 years ago on the morning of my birthday, probably around 5:45 a.m. Just before the sun started rising. I was sitting on my porch in the forest, and the heron flew over
Oh,
my head, and I got the song.
whoa.
Is one of my allies, and I'm actually like staring at two herons out of the window
That gives me chills. Wow.
right now as I visit my parents' house. But it's a really powerful protector and guardian for me. And I think that it speaks to something of the Cancerian energy too, because it's one of those birds, like the crane or the stork, that governs over life and brings the packages of birth and the baby. And I think, I don't think this
Mhm.
is very much the energy of Cancer.
Awesome.
When the heron calls in the sunlight.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think herons are just like the most amazing song carriers.
Absolutely.
Very generous. I think, in my experience as being like a quadruple Cancer person, and having the sun conjunct Mercury, conjunct my moon, and a sign, there's always with Cancer a sense of we. And even though we are, or they are very sensitive people, they love deeply, and there's always a we inside of them. So it's just a very good thing to know about this time, what to be focusing on, and how we are holding relationship and the people that are very near and dear to our hearts. And that we isn't even necessarily about another person, it's the we of myself and the Creator. And that's the first relationship. And I think that's the very second nature relationship to a Cancer.
Wow. Oh, I'm hearing myself. Perfect moment to see the mirror of that energy. Thank you for the song. My gosh. I hope that so many people in the world get to hear this song. I'm just going to put that there. It is so good. I mean, yes, through this podcast, but also, hopefully through other means.
I hope that I hope that a lot of people get to find your podcast, because you're such a curator of very good, honest souls, and people, and everyone that you've had on here has such a special message and vision for the world. And I think it's helped me to open my eyes up even more to the people that are right next to me, like in community, to go deeper than hi, how are you? And just to see like what they're up to and what it is that makes their heart beat. And I think you have such a gift for guiding people to those spaces where they feel really comfortable to share that. And I just think it can inspire so much good in the world.
Thank you. This is a favorite space of mine. And I love having these conversations with everyone, and this one with you. And it's just, when I look at everyone, I see my friends like a bouquet of flowers. And it's not just for me, but we all get like all of these little, not little, big, but all these blossoms. And it's just like, wow, like I'm so grateful and lucky and blessed and all of the amazing good things to be surrounded by people who are just really inspiring and really good people. I mean, it's just wow. So yeah, thank you for being one of the people here and sharing your wisdom today. And yeah, I will link all of the things so people can find you and the projects. Any parting words for this moment, or any last things that you feel?
Just thank you to everyone listening too. And I just am so honored to be able to reach people that maybe I'll never meet. And to feel that connection and integrate it into my prayer as I walk. I had this like epiphany one time in New York City in like 2006. I used to go to Grace Church on 10th Street when I had like a rough day. And I would sit and I would look at all the masonry work. The church is super beautiful, just super beautiful. In the middle of the day, it was pretty empty, and I could just sit there for hours, and it was really beautiful vibration. And the work, like the stonework, was sublime, and I would just get lost in it. And one day I just heard, the people that made this church never saw it in this form. And I just lost it, just started crying so much. And I think this is where I want to leave the podcast and this place of really deep encouragement, not just for the people that are listening that I'll never see, but for your lives and for what's in your heart and your passion and your vision for life. Don't be afraid to commit and do it with all of your being, even if you never see the results in this lifetime. You never know if that tree you're sitting on was planted by one of your ancestors many, many lifetimes ago. And so we just have to trust that braid and that prayer to carry us. Trust yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh, my heart. Well, thank you so much. And my heart's just blown open by that. I'm like, whew. Taking me a minute. Yeah. Well, I'm just like, I don't want to leave you. This is so
I
amazing.
never want to leave you. I understand.
I'm a silly one. Anywho, okay. Concluding here. Thank you so much, and everyone listening. Thank you for being here in this shared field. Outside of time and space. And until next time. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.